It's me, Devlin McBain. Hello again. You know what I really want in life? It's just to be happy and get a home and start a family. Raise some kids, good kids, to go out in this world and try to make it a better place. And our species a more worthy guardian of protecting our little blue world. World that hangs in the absolute void of space-time. But alas, I was born here now. And I know that if I dared to court this, I would have to hurdle many, many pitfalls that are designed to rob me of hope, prosperity, money, time, and ultimately my life if I even dared to be great. Because how dare you? I'll list them off, as far as I see them. First, I would have to be able to try and discern a proper life partner for myself. A woman, a lady, who isn't a backbiting, dishonorable thief of virtue, who will use sex as a weapon and the resulting children as leverage to squeeze all of my effort and money from me, which is currently the number one reason and plan for most modern Western women to get ahead in life and to get their quote-unquote feminist revenge on men. This female archetype is so prevalent in society today, dark female nature. It's completely normal to allow her to gaslight me into thinking she is nice and proper for maybe a year or two before she becomes a stark raving lunatic. And this is not accounting for the propensity for her to cheat and generally be a dishonorable cretin. It's okay in society. Rules for me, not for thee. Once she feels like she can't hurt me with her poisonous tongue anymore, she'll take the kids and use the system designed to subvert men to take them and my money via child support. Then she'll move out of my reach and talk down to my kids about me while she allows society to butcher my kids to get herself attention and head pats from the freakish homunculi that infest this country for that affirmation of quote-unquote, yes, Queen Slay, get your bag. She'll be uplifted with the sacrifice of the virtue of the children that we had. She'll be able to legally abuse them and essentially sterilize them and in my bloodline, and the current justice system will do absolutely nothing to stop it. Second, I would need to get a job that some pathetic beta male wasn't in charge of, or some harpy female wasn't in charge of. Be it in hiring or in human resources, because these freaks infest these kind of job titles to ensure that only their brand of failures can get ahead by continually producing trash products and overprice them and essentially ruin any business they are allowed into. They're like a virus. We know this, the woke mind virus. Generally lowering even my options, ultimately for jobs to even find, due to this current paradigm of failing upwards that the communista freaks have pushed onto our country. Now, I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'4", and I am masculine and want to work. But know this, I would rather die poor than ever work for one of these smug, arrogant leftist freaks who are just traitors to this country's very core values because they are too weak to ever make it such a place where freedom and justice should reign. Because, like it or not, this is the American way. Not the communist Bolshevik way. They can take all that trash to the pit and have a free ear bullet for their troubles. Third, the very notion of what society has become is sitting squatly on the premise of trying to divide everyone into rhetoric-tailored segregation. Racism is okay against Caucasians because it apparently is our turn after we went through all those riots and pushed back against slavery in nearly every country, even the Middle East. Where were all those goons in the ADL at? Or those wannabe gangsters in the not fucking around coalition? Or the NAACP, when we were crushing dictators and stomping those who violated human rights across the globe? Now, we actually walked into that one trying to be the world police and all. But these acronyms, these useless idiots, they were in their ivory towers, stealing from the donation coffers and allowing Chicago to burn itself to shreds, allowing kids to be mowed down in Baltimore without so much as a peep. And that was right here in our country, right under the office window. And still nothing. These various organizations are here only to attack Caucasians and perpetuate hate and this lie that black culture exists beyond Americana and culture thereof, to force segregation into the hearts and minds of the black people, while continuing to enable their ignorance as some kind of cultural right instead of what it truly is: hate. You see, these organizations, just like BLM, are in it to ensure they always have a job. You just have to follow the money. No racism equals no BLM, no ADL, no NAACP. None of these now huge organizations bloated with money thrown away to them would be able to collect money and support without the false pretense of racism. They are essentially causing the problem to keep themselves in power at this point. And they have the entirety of the black experience hostage with a gun to its head, and nobody seems to care or see this that matters enough to make a difference. So now that it is determined that I am just an enemy that once caught alone should be attacked by a gang of punks too ignorant to think for themselves and too cowardly to be individuals, one should be able to realize that I have a target on my back just because I don't have the right skin tone. So that's the environment that I'd have to work in. Fourth, the current regime insists on taking away any avenue of defense for myself or my family via ridiculous laws that ban firearms and even blade weapons or self-defense sprays, and as it turns out, even body armor. Likely because they want to make sure nobody who can fight can survive an encounter with their ignorant shock troopers. So in light of these restrictions, I can barely protect myself, let alone my family, if I get lucky enough to have one cogent enough not to be dispersed by the current incentivized welfare state. That I would have to constantly worry that my kids will be brutally beaten by a group of feral punks, even at school. This society isn't safe, and it is getting worse and worse by the day to be a good man or even a good person, as it only means that you are targeted by the weaklings the moment you show that you have any morals or principles, let alone if you dare to show that you're intelligent. Heaven protect. Then you are subject to be cold, because free-thinking, critical, analyzing minds are to be destroyed so the segregationalists can reign supreme. Fifth, if I had children and due to my need to work, a job to support my family, I would have at least like an 8-hour day, 7, maybe 5 days if I'm lucky, a day where I just have this 8-hour blind spot where this toxic freakish society can have their way with my family behind my back. Because I would have to send them to public school systems, of which I remember being utterly infested with disgusting trans-enabled pedophiles and scumbag feminists who will try to henpeck my boys and coax my girls into being herpes-infested sluts, who will hate their own race and anything I stand for. The teachers back in my day, of whom I remember pushing bullies my way, making fun of my injuries as a result of that, sneering at me and trashing every effort I made to be artistic or creative. Or anything but a bootlicker, honestly. If my kids were ever to be in a school and victimized by this meat grinder scene of utter maceration, I would be collecting scalps and be in prison for life. Because I remember how useless and hopeless they wanted me to be. How they ignored my cries for help. How they just smirked at me. Grown women, teachers, looking down on my pain and doing nothing to help. Then when I finally stood up to the bullies, these same teachers that my mother trusted to look after me would punish me, while my assailants walked free and made fun of my situation through the glass at the principal's office. Well, they pushed my best friend up against it and bullied him, and I got punished. Their little goons didn't. This is how they ruined kids back in my day, and clearly it has gotten worse. They've even let pedophiles into the mix to up the abuse factor. 6. I would have to be able to gain the magical amount of money per year that only 10% of the population has to even approach buying a house. And I am a veteran that is honorably EAOS'd out. I don't have to pay the entry fee and get a lot of cuts to prices, even on top of that. And I still can't manage. So I can't imagine what normal civilians get for their troubles. It's probably a whole nother deck of cards. So not only do I have to somehow get a job that won't waste my time and keep me as an underling to pay less as they possibly can because I am white and the villain of the day, narrative, I also get the joy of trying to find a house that is worth $80,000 jacked up to $120,000. Because apparently only greedy toddlers run finances these days because they try way too hard to pocket the overhead and waste my time with dumb hidden fees they can whip out at my purchase. There are hundreds of ways they will try to do this. Via red flags on the property already, or some stupid clause that forces you to not have a foundation made, or some bills that says you can't have a fixer-upper at a lower price, or their constant need to be in your pockets to fleece you for everything you own and earn. And on top of that, I have to make sure I live in a good neighborhood, away from all the freaks that have a dark thirst for innocent blood of my progeny, and have a hard-on for trying to dominate me into a cowed state so they feel safe around me. So, you have to gain the magical amount of money with the perfect job, right? That isn't being run by some scumbag, an HR person that's just wants their job to be a nanny state. If something bad happens, I can't necessarily protect my family due to laws against that. And if I do, I might end up in prison so that they can have their way with my family anyways. Society and the incentivized welfare state, segregationalism, these are not proper environmental cues for having any type of kids, any type of family. You can't trust anybody else. Society just becomes so materialistic, so overinflated and stupid that your average person they'll just sell you out right up the river just for a chance to get ahead, because they make it impossible to get ahead. It's the hidden incentivization factor. If they make it hard enough, they can buy you to do anything. They can buy your virtues. They can buy your principles, your ethics. It's a cruel world, made crueler still by these flat-scanned homunculi that pretend to be our graders and leaders via permission of their own deranged, deluded minds. At this point, the tick is so embedded in our system that burning it out and crushing it with a hammer on the cement is literally the only way. Hence why violence and cursing and labeling their pathetic little cronies as to what they actually are is now verboten. Because violence and calling a spade is how we start the hard work and backtrack this country to what it was supposed to be. And it's not something we chose. We just want it to be back the way it is supposed to be. They have chosen for us this path. They are banking on our good natures that we won't do this to make this land exactly what it should be, and should always be, the sweet land of liberty. And because I represent excellence and the fair treatment of all, I am the enemy of the state now. And if you conduct yourself rightly with these ethics and moralities, you are too, my brothers. Stay safe, watch out for your fellow people, look out for the kids. These freaks are born to fail even when they win. Their own kind kill them. And it's ironic they're too stupid to look back and see the simple formula written in history. The writing on the walls, they win, they die. And we lose. And we get stuck together in another dark age where superstition and ignorance reigns. And if we win, they die and everyone wins. Keep winning. Down with the cultural vandals. Down with the cretins. And all the pedos are dead walking.